from your perspective, for someone who's actually in the field, like the difference between the idea of healing and like the actual work of healing?
It is real work. I think about it like this, and I feel like this is the part that's missing a lot of times. Mental health is health.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're putting in work to go to the doctor and figure out what's going on with your leg,
Yeah.
if you're putting in the work to figure out what's going on with the headaches that you're having every day, why not put in the work to figure out why you're feeling the way you're feeling? And the other part is what I touched on too, of being honest.
Yeah.
You know, your therapist is only going to treat what you tell them.
Yeah.
They don't see you outside of your session with them. You know, we don't know what's going on. We only know what you tell us. You know, and I think the part that people really get afraid of and why they end therapy is that things a lot of times get worse before they get better. When you see your therapist, you're talking about real sensitive stuff. You know, you're talking about the way you've been feeling for maybe the past 10 years that you never talked to anybody else about.
That's real.
A lot is going to come out.
Yeah.
You're going to feel worse before you feel better.
Yeah.
But that can be scary.
Yeah.
Wow, that's actually a great way to describe it, because I think people need to hear this, because it's like, you know, we live in a very convenient world where everything is instant. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, like it's going to get worse before it gets better, for the better.
For real.
That's a great point. Yo, what up? It's your boy Rubino.
And this DJ in the building.
And you listening to the UpNUp Podcast.
Yeah.
Wait, what are we doing?
I don't know, just listen.
Yes. Welcome.
What it do?
Ladies and gentlemen, you're tuned into the UpNUp Podcast on the UpNUp Network. I'm your host, Rubino.
And I'm DJ man.
What's up, boss? How you doing?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm blessed, man.
Yeah.
I have the same. You know, I have the same answer every episode.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Blessed,
that's
bro.
why I always ask you, because
Yeah.
I wonder if it's going to change.
Yeah, but you know, for the first time listeners, you know, this is probably their first time knowing how blessed I am. So
Yes, sir.
I'm blessed, y'all.
Yep.
But yeah, man, if this is your first time tuning in, as well as if you're a consistent listener, this is the UpNUp Podcast. As I stated, this is the podcast where we're focused on cultivating culture, right? We do that by providing amazing stories of individuals, groups, movements, right? The hustlers, the shakers.
Yes, sir.
Those taking up space, breaking down barriers, right?
Yep.
Not only for all of us still here, but for the next generation to come, right? I'm feeling good, bro. We were just talking before the show, like how like we just look forward to episodes, because it is kind of an escape from the crazy world we live in, bro.
Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's good to like kind of pause and have real intentional conversations. And we're super excited, right? Because today's guest is someone who I would say is someone who's helping and leading the charge on what it means to try to make this world a better place, right? Than the way we received it. She's definitely a true culture cultivator who's keeping everything she's doing on the up and up, right?
Yep.
A little bit of insight. She is the owner and founder of the emerging Wise Words Therapy platform and service. She's also a professional therapist and wellness professional, who's trying to do the work to tackle mental health in her own very tailored approach, right? I think everybody has their own unique way in which they can contribute, right, to the many causes out here. And I think she's definitely doing that in her own unique way. And whether it's, you know, day-to-day therapy work that she does with individuals or families, she's definitely using her platform to end the stigma, right, that surrounds the topic and work of mental health. And, you know, we're super excited. We're honored. We finally locked it in.
Yeah.
Right? You know what I'm saying? Timing is right, but we're super excited. We're super honored. So without further ado, let's just get straight to it. Our guest is none other than the amazing and uplifting force herself, Nhautrey Brown. Can we get a round of applause?
Yeah.
How you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm excited to be here. I'm glad we, like you said, finally locked it in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Time is right. I always say like long overdue, but right on time.
Right.
Yeah.
It's always right on time.
Always right on time. How you doing? How's the day going? Feeling
It's
good?
going pretty good. You know, I was just telling I had to kind of maneuver some things today to make sure I was caring for my child and working at the same time. So I'm feeling like super mom right now.
Okay.
Super.
There we go.
But you know,
There we go.
We're here.
We're here. We're blessed to be here. So I don't know how familiar you are with the show, but we always start every episode with the quote of the day. Something to get the vibe right, get the convo started. Brother man, man of the quotes. What you got for us, man?
All right, man. The quote of the day today is, conformity is the jailer of freedom and the enemy of growth. Yeah.
Who was that quote by?
John F. Kennedy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like that.
You want me to run it back?
I like
Yeah.
that. Yeah,
Run
run it back. I was gonna ask, I wasn't even gonna ask you to run it back, but go ahead, run it back.
All right. So the quote is conformity is the jailer of freedom and the enemy of growth. So yeah, man. You know, should thrive to grow. Don't get too comfortable.
Yeah, there's a lot of layers to that quote. For sure. I think it's kind of like your actions can help or hurt you.
Yeah.
Same action, you know what I mean? It's just how you view it.
Being complacent too, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you can't grow.
Exactly.
You're in the same place the whole time.
Yeah, definitely. So Nhautrey, obviously we're really focused on like storytelling, getting into people's journeys. That's normally what we do. But before we kind of get into your journey, I'm definitely curious, just kind of knowing like the journey you've already been on, the work you've been on. You're just talking about being a super mom, right? Being a newly mom and like all that. Like, how would you describe kind of the current chapter you're in right now?
Ooh.
Yeah, you
That's a
could
big
talk a little
question.
closer to the mic too.
That's a big question. I would say my current chapter right now, man, it's like a mix of humility and growth. And I feel like they're both exponentially growing at the same time. And that's a really, really interesting place to be in. Like you said, we were talking about being a super mom. I have a 7-month-old, soon to be 8 months. That journey within itself is just crazy. Like, didn't really picture myself, being a mom right now. But like we talked about timing, the timing is perfect. And at the same time, trying to just grow in my business. Continue to grow in who I am and all of that. And but being humble in the place that I've been placed in right now. Knowing that I have to be a mom right now. Which means that sometimes all the things I want to do, I got to put it on the back burner. Because she comes first. So I'm there. I'm feeling humble in that place, but also I'm like, all right, we got to keep it moving. We got to keep growing. We got to, keep going up. So
I like how you said like humility and growth at the same time. Like, you know what I'm saying? But they both grow you, so that they kind of take you to the same direction. I feel like. You know what I mean? Yeah,
definitely. So let's take it back. Let's talk about your upbringing. Where you from? Just growing up. So
I was born and raised in Seattle in the Central District, on Cherry Street, where the old Catfish Corner was.
Okay.
Right up there.
Paint the picture for us right now.
I mean, I can literally picture walking, to Catfish Corner every Friday. I grew up in my great-grandparents' home, and every Friday they wanted Catfish Corner. So we had to walk down to Catfish Corner. They had the same order, a whole catfish, hush puppies, and green. So that's how I grew up. I had family members that lived literally across the street and next door to me. We would walk to each other's houses. That's when it was safe to do that. I don't know about now. And it was just a community. So I grew up in the city. I went to Leschi. Let me take it back. I went to Zion and then Leschi. Went to Washington Middle School. Went to Garfield High School. And I feel like I've just been in Seattle majority of my life. I ended up going to school in Virginia at George Mason University.
Okay.
Where I got a track scholarship for doing triple jump. I always knew that I wanted to go to school on the East Coast.
Okay.
And this opportunity came up.
They
wanted to offer me a scholarship, and I'm like,
that's dope. I actually didn't know you did track, but I'm curious, kind of like if you just kind of go back, right, to be like the early life, the early upbringing. Can you look back now and kind of find like seeds that were planted that kind of connect or grew into what you're kind of doing now, the work you're doing now?
Yeah, for sure. It's really an interesting thing. So I was in AP classes, honors classes really early on. And for me, that didn't, it was just kind of embedded in me, growing up. My parents always made sure, I was doing the things I needed to be doing.
Yeah, staying on track,
to say the least. So that never felt like a big deal to me. But my peers, my friends would always come to me, for advice about things and, want to be interested in what I was doing and that sort of thing. And so now that I look back on it, it definitely has planted a lot of seeds into, where I am now. And I have been running track since I was 5.
Okay.
That planted a huge
definitely.
But yeah, I would.
I feel like there's, especially like being an athlete young, it's like you kind of learn certain just discipline.
Oh yeah.
Like certain just habits, you know what I'm saying? That you probably don't realize, but it's gonna translate to whatever you want to do in the future. So
Yep.
no, that's dope. So you kind of talked about it already. So you went to George Mason, right? And then you also studied after that. You studied at
Seattle U.
Okay, Seattle U. Yeah. Okay, so I bring that up because I just feel like everybody's college experience is theirs. You know what I'm saying? Like it's unique. Even you made it in and you got out, but it's like what happened in between that time is your experience. But like, how would you describe your college experience, and like what takeaways you can have from those?
Yeah, man. I remember people always saying, "Oh, you're going to college to be an athlete. You're not going to have the real college experience, and all of that." I'm like, enjoy myself. I don't know what y'all were doing, but it was great. It was great. Being at George Mason actually reminded me a lot of Seattle. It's a melting pot. There were a lot of different cultures, ethnicities, all of that. So I felt at home pretty much. And then just kind of being thrown into a track team, you don't really have a choice but to call them your family. So I felt comfortable right away. I did all the college stuff. I went to parties. I had a good time. Like I did my thing. And I wanted to make sure that I did that because I know that it can't be all consuming to be a student athlete. Yeah. And so I wanted to make sure I still, found time to go to parties. Half the time I really didn't feel like it because I was so tired and, so much going on. But I made sure I did that. So I feel like I created that experience for myself and made sure that I partake in those things. Yeah. But it was great. I've built amazing relationships, with my friends in college. We all still talk to this day, spread across the U.S. Like, I can not talk to them for months and pick up the phone. We can pick right back up where we left off. You know, like we're close. We're all close. And you go through some crazy stuff in college. Yes. Oh, yeah. So the people that are, there for you during that time, they're going to be in your life. For the big stuff, the small stuff, So I was just really like blessed to be able to have, my friends who I consider family, to be able to be there for me, and not just then but now.
I'm always asked that question for those who have went through that experience on our show, just because you could hear a lot of the narrative now where kids are probably not thinking college is necessary or and they have a point in some cases, but there's a lot. You said relationships, which stuck out to me. I think a lot of the things that you learn while you're in school is like kind of like more human skills, personal skills, character development type things that, you have to be on your own to learn that. You know what I mean? So
I couldn't tell you one educational thing I learned.
Yeah.
I learned a lot of life skills. Like that's for sure.
Yes.
And then being across the country, it was just me.
Yeah. No, that's
I couldn't
important.
just fly home when I wanted to.
Yeah.
Not even for your holidays. By the time you fly all the way from Virginia to Washington, your break is halfway over. So, yeah.
For real. So, I know you touched on it a little bit, but for like anybody that's probably in college right now, like how did you prioritize and like balance like being an athlete, and then going to school and then, like enjoying your like me time, you know what I mean? Or
I
like your leisure.
Out every day.
Yeah.
I really don't know. I don't know. I feel like I was just thrown into it. Like you don't really have a choice because well, I should say for me, I knew it was important for me to get good grades. I knew that, it was also important for me to perform well in track. And it was important for me to have healthy relationships. So I couldn't tell you how I did it. I mean, I used a planner. I don't know. I'm a planner. I'm always writing stuff down.
I mean, you just gotta go through it, bro.
You just gotta go through it.
You gotta go through it.
It's hard to explain.
I'm not gonna lie, I couldn't tell you either. But I'm just just curious.
Some things is hard to give advice on. You know what I mean? It's like that's how I went through it.
It's everlasting though, because I feel like I use those same tools even now.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like the tools I learned how to, how to manage things in college.
How to pivot when things don't go your way. It's like, damn, I can't quit. I got to figure out what I'm gonna do. That's good. So I am curious. Obviously, we all don't go to school for no reason, right? We go to school to learn and kind of develop ourselves to be able to go into the working world and provide our skill sets. But for you, I'm curious, like, what came first for you? Was it the profession and the field that you wanted to study, or was it like the why and like the greater mission? Like, I always feel like, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes you go into something because you know that you can get something from it, and then sometimes you're moved to go to something. Like, how would you describe that?
I feel like I knew what I wanted to do, and like the purpose of it. So I feel like the purpose came first, and then I kind of had to explore the path of getting there.
Got it.
Like I kind of talked about with growing up, I was always the person that my friends would come to like for advice, you know, and so that kind of, I was like, oh, maybe I do. Yeah. Maybe I do give good advice.
There we go. There we go.
But then more so, I just started thinking about like, why do people, you know, behave the way they do? Why do people, you know, do the things that they do? And I feel like that, me wanting to learn more about that kind of took me in the direction that I wanted to go. And then I had to kind of figure out my path from there.
More natural.
More natural, yeah.
More natural, but then the natural meets the practical. Because obviously, you know, you got to take some practical steps. So let's talk about it. I'm curious because, you know, nobody just goes into being a therapist or goes into the wellness space not really wanting to do it. You know, like you got to, because it's a real responsibility. But what would you say, like, were some early lessons for you when you first got into the field that you wish you would have known when you first came in? Like someone would have told you, if there are some things.
Oh, man. I feel like one of the bigger things, and this is something I tell people all the time, is like really think about your path and what you want to do. Because a lot of times the things that you study undergrad, like if you plan on getting like a master's degree or anything, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you study undergrad. And I say that because I went into my undergrad thinking like, oh, I want to, you know, be a therapist. I have to study the brain. And no one told me I didn't. They were just like, oh, yeah. Probably they just thought it was cool. They're like, oh, okay, cool. Like, go do that. And so I took my major that I started off with was neuroscience. And it was super interesting. I loved it, but I just didn't have the time to really invest in it and study the way that I needed to in order to like really grasp everything I needed to. So I ended up switching my major actually my senior year, which is crazy. Actually my senior year to psychology, but since I had already completed pretty much the neuroscience degree, they were like, okay, you can make that your minor. You pretty much have already completed a lot of the psychology, you know, courses already anyway. So it worked out. But if I would have known going in that I didn't even need to study neuroscience, I would have made it a lot easier on myself undergrad, so I could have, you know, spent more of that time, my master's program, like really invested.
Like getting the experience early on, So
I feel like that lesson is more of a general thing. Like you don't have to study the thing that you necessarily want to go into when you get your, you know, master's. That's good. So that lesson, and then also there's several paths to get to where you want to go. There's several paths to get to where you want to go. So,
So speaking of paths, what was the internship experience like for you?
Oh man, my internship experience was great. So at Seattle U, you basically go through like an interview process and everything, and then they hook you up with. There's two different placements. So the first one is like a generalist practice. So that may not be necessarily what you specifically want to go into, but it's just a way to get experience.
Gotcha.
So I did my first internship at Pregnancy and Parenting Support with Catholic Community Services. And that was really cool. I worked with people of all like ethnicities and cultures, and we just did like intakes. I actually conducted a parenting group, which was crazy because I wasn't a parent. And yeah, it was just good to meet people and just kind of learn like how that process works. You know?
Like actually connecting with people.
Absolutely.
A lot of times that's like, you know, that's half the battle, and that's what you do. And I am curious, like showing up and doing the job, like what would you say, like when did you feel like you kind of arrived, and maybe you feel like you still have more to do? Obviously we all have more to do, but like when did you feel like, okay, I think I'm here now? Like, because I feel like for me, I don't really know, for the listeners and audience members who are interested in like what it's like to be a therapist, kind of take us through that if you can.
I feel like there were two moments. The first one, kind of thinking back to what you asked about the internship, my second year, I did my internship at Nhautrey Brown Children's Clinic.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when we were in the CD. And I remember I did half like medical social work, and then the other half was like mental health work, or behavioral health work. And I went into a room when I was doing the medical social work, and I was talking to a new mom, and she was just having a lot of feelings about being a new mom and just all the things that were going on. And she broke down in the room. And she was just like, I've never had like a Black social worker, you know, or someone who I feel like could actually relate to me.
Yeah.
In that moment right there, I was just like, okay, like I'm where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah.
You know, and it was so emotional. Like even thinking back, I'm like, dang, like that, you know, pulled on my heartstrings for real.
Yeah.
So definitely that moment.
Yeah.
And then kind of moving into more of the business stuff, I feel like once I finally got like my first like client, I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Not only did I go through the business part, you know, of creating, you know, the business, but now I'm actually doing this.
Yeah.
You know, I actually have someone who trusts me enough to provide mental health therapy to them.
Yeah.
Like that was,
And you don't forget those.
Yeah,
you never forget those moments because it's important, you know, like the work is the work. You're going to do the work, but it's also kind of gauging like what these moments are. You know, they, someone called it, they're like, what do they call it? It's micro wins, but they had another word for it, but it's like micro wins essentially. Like you got to count those micro wins along the way.
For sure.
Now you did touch on it, starting the business and the service, Wise Words Therapy. Like what sparked that idea for you? Like, if you could take us there.
So I literally was just thinking, like, okay, I got to come up with a name for this business. Like, what am I going to do? And I promise you, I had a table probably like maybe half this size, and I literally cut out different words. Like, I wrote words on index cards, and I asked my friends and, you know, close family, like, if you had to describe me, like, as a person to you, like, you know, what would you say? Because I really wanted to like encompass like who I am as a person when providing a service. Of course, I wanted something creative and unique, you know. And so I literally had like sticky notes everywhere. I was cutting them up, like putting just different words together. And I was like, for some reason that just clicked. Like it just stuck with me, and I was like, I think I'll go with that. Because the majority of the feedback I got was that people were, you know, saying I give good advice, which, you know, in the therapy world is like, that's what people typically want to come to you for.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's like, well, there's wise words.
Yeah.
But the bigger part of that is I really want people to understand why, you know, they feel the way they feel, why they do the things they do, and really understanding themselves and what's inside of them. Yeah. So the wise part, you know, is WHY.
I get
why
it.
is
So
that's how that came. It was a cool process, though.
No, that was a dope play on words, though.
It's great. And I'm also like, I'm curious, like, because, you know, there's people who may be watching and listening who want to get into the field you're in. What is that like? To like, obviously the work in being a therapist is one thing, but then like to kind of build your own practice. Do you have advice and tips for people on like kind of how to kind of enter that phase?
I do. And the reason why I feel this way is because no one told me this. I had to figure it out literally by myself.
Okay.
So story time. I was at Catholic. I just started my first job actually after graduating, and everybody that was there was in the same position that I was. And they were all leaving, and they were saying, "I'm going to start my own practice." And I'm confused because what we got told in school was you have to be licensed, like fully licensed first, and then you have to like be a therapist for all these years before you can even open a practice. And I'm like, they're leaving and they're starting a practice. Yeah. But we're literally in the same position. Yeah. Somebody's not telling me something.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm missing something.
Yeah, I'm missing something. Literally, that was my thought. And I thought about this for like weeks. I'm like, there's something I'm missing. So I just started doing research, you know, come to find out, I could start my own practice. You just have to be under supervision of someone who is fully licensed to be able to, like, you know, supervise your business. Yeah. And so I went through a lot of just interpersonal things like, am I ready? Like, can I really do this? Are people going to trust me?
Yeah.
And all of that. And, well, you don't know unless you
try it.
I
love that. Yeah.
And so, Yeah, just kind of went through the business aspects of that and then got here. But
Yo, that's not to cut you off, but
No,
that's a
you're good.
major message out there for people, because I say this all the time. I feel like, especially in our communities, Black, brown, underrepresented, it's like there's so much like we're missing in terms of information, and a lot of times like we already got the magic. We've been doing the work, but it's like sometimes we're just missing like certain little things, right? Certain little informational tips and like certain things that we just didn't know were possible or existed, or certain, they call them loopholes, but they're not really loopholes. You know what I'm saying?
just gate kept.
Yeah. So and it exists in every industry. It exists in government. You know what I'm saying? So it's like a lot of times we do have to do the research, like you said, and it can save us a lot of time, a lot of stress, and it can set us on our path a lot quicker.
Yeah,
That's real.
Yeah. So, like going into therapy, like if somebody, let's say I was trying to go look for a therapist and I'm like, hey, how do I find the right therapist, or what should I be looking for? What would you tell me?
So there's a lot of platforms out there where you can do like therapy searches.
Yeah.
Psychology Today is a really big one. Like they have just a lot of therapists are on there. You can find therapists, wellness coaches, like all of that on there. And you can do filters, like filtering out exactly what you want.
Yeah.
Therapy for Black girls, that's another one. And really, when you're looking at trying to find a therapist, it's really just about doing your research, having consultations with different people to figure out who you feel comfortable with. Because at the end of the day, it is a relationship.
Yeah, that's real.
And you have to, the person receiving the service needs to feel comfortable enough to share exactly what's going on.
That's real.
Because your therapist is only going to treat what you tell them. I mean, if you tell them a lie and you're not comfortable talking to them, like, you're not going to get anywhere.
Yeah, that's real. Yeah. That's a good point.
And then at the same time, the therapist needs to feel comfortable and feel like you're a good fit for them too. So, starting at those different platforms, and then from there, just kind of doing interviews. And when you're doing these interviews, asking questions about things that are just important to you.
Yeah.
And going from there.
Yeah.
Finding somebody that you feel like you can build a relationship with.
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
Yeah. Because I feel like that's like half the battle, why a lot of people don't do it. So I'm like, man, I just had to ask that because I'm like, I feel like a lot of people need to hear this.
That's a great
now,
question.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think it's a question a lot of people have in their heads where they're like, yeah, am I ready? But then wait, I don't really know what to ask. Like, how do I, you know what I'm saying? It's like one of those things where there's just a gap of like back to information. And I am curious as well, just kind of, I feel like the era we're in, I think we're in a way better place now than we probably once were, right? There's a lot of like, just a lot of energy that's going towards like healing, and there's just a lot of people who are pushing that message now, and it's becoming more normalized, is what I'm saying. But from your perspective, for someone who's actually in the field, like the difference between the idea of healing and like the actual work of healing, because I feel like there's like two people see it and they think they're healing, but like, are they really healing? Like, can you describe that from your perspective, like what the work really is, and then like why people should really look at it like, yo, this is real work?
It is real work. I think about it like this, and I feel like this is the part that's missing a lot of times. Mental health is health. So if you're putting in work to go to the doctor and figure out what's going on with your leg, if you're putting in the work to figure out what's going on with the headaches that you're having every day, why not put in the work to figure out why you're feeling the way you're feeling? And I feel like once people get to that point, actually realize like they're taking care of their health when they, take care of their mental health, that's half the battle, but a good part of the battle.
Yeah.
And the other part is what I touched on too, of being honest.
Yeah.
Your therapist is only going to treat what you tell them.
Yeah.
They don't see you outside of your session with them. We don't know what's going on. We only know what you tell us. We can infer on something, but we don't really know. So the other part of the battle is being honest. And I think the part that people really get afraid of, and why they end therapy, is that things a lot of times get worse before they get better. When you see your therapist, you're talking about real sensitive stuff. You're talking about the way you've been feeling for maybe the past 10 years that you never talked to anybody else about.
That's real.
A lot is going to come out. you're gonna feel worse before you feel better.
Yeah.
But that can be scary.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I'm coming to you because I'm feeling bad.
Yeah.
Now you're telling me all this stuff.
I'm trying to get here. I gotta you're telling me I gotta go backwards to get forward.
But that's the word.
That's wow. Word. That's actually a great way to describe it. Because I think people need to hear this, because it's like, you know, we live in a very convenient world where everything is instant. You know what I'm saying? Yep. And some things just are what they are, and this is one of them. Like, you know, like it's gonna get worse before it gets better. For the better.
For real.
That's a great point.
So I was on your website, and I know you said you're trying to end the stigma on mental health. I guess in your words, what's that stigma, and how are you trying to like end it?
Yeah. So the stigma is that people of color, specifically African Americans, don't like to go to therapy.
Yeah.
And it goes back to slavery, honestly.
Yeah.
You know, people were told to pray about it. If they had any type of issues going on, it's like, what do? Pray about it. Go to church, which is great. But also, you're dealing with real things. You're dealing with real emotions.
Yeah.
And a lot of the clients that I see and people that I talk to just about their mental health journey and that sort of thing, they're always like, yeah, like, you know, if I told anybody in my family that I was depressed or, you know, I have anxiety, they would think I was crazy.
Yeah. That's real.
Also, back in the day, what happened? You went to like literally a mental institution if you said anything about feeling the way you felt.
Yeah.
That carries on, down generations. We're still dealing with it.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. We're in a way better place because, like, I even watch, like, you know, I watch, like, tons of, like, 90s reruns and sitcoms, and, like, there's, like, so much, like, lighthearted just jokes about people, who, like, you know what I'm saying, about psychology and, like, mental health and all that. You know what I'm talking about. Like, you see it, and they're, like, clowning people for, like, taking this stuff seriously. So we've came a long way, but, yeah.
Still a lot of work to do. Still a lot of work to do. And kind of to answer the second part, you know, of the question, I believe that one of the biggest battles is being able to walk into a room with a therapist that looks like you.
Yeah.
You know, that can maybe not even fully relate to you, but may know some of the things that you're going through.
Yeah.
You know, or have experienced in your life. Things you don't have to explain to someone else. You know, it's just already kind of understood.
Yeah.
And that's not to say that everybody's situation is the same or story is the same just because you're Black, you know, but there are things that are common. And, you know, I think that one of the other things that I try to do, you know, when I show up for my appointments with my clients is I like to, you know, like dress pretty chill. You know, I'm professional and that sort of thing, but I like to dress pretty chill. You know, have that approach to therapy where it doesn't have to be this, like, you know, pure room with a, you know, couch and chair, and you have to talk about your coping skills and, like, breathe and take a deep breath in and breathe out. We do that, but also, like, we're going to talk about what's really going on, and you're going to feel comfortable. So I feel like I try to do that in a way of, you know, just making people feel like they actually can talk about what's really going on.
Yeah. No, it's real work on your end as well, and clients and people who come up. I remember we had Ashley McGirt on our show. Shout out to her. She's dope.
She is.
Killing it. And one thing I remember asking her, I was like, yo, like, how do you kind of not get so attached to your clients? You know, like, if, you know, when they leave the room, they leave the room. You know what I mean? And if they don't do the stuff that y'all talked about, then you can't really do nothing about it. But, like, how do you deal with, like, because, you know, we want to do well. We want to, like, perform well. And sometimes performing well means we have to be kind of a little bit obsessed or attached to the thing that we're doing. But in your case, it seems like, you know, it's a little different. But how would you describe that?
Yeah, it's a work in progress every day.
Okay.
You know, and I feel like there are days when I'm like, okay, I'm done. Like, I'm off work. Like, you know. But there's other days where it's like, man, like, this is really sitting with me. You know, and we're trained to, like, have supervisors that we talk to and have our own therapists that we talk to about things to really just kind of let that out. One of the other tools that I learned, and I use this a lot, is on my commute home from work. Whenever I see a bus stop, I drop my clients off at the bus stop. And for me, that's kind of like, you know, we've had our session, we've done our thing, but when I get home, I need to be able to do what I need to do at home and be fully present, you know, for my family. And that was a tool that I learned, and it's crazy because it works. It works.
Yeah.
It definitely
Yeah.
works.
I like that.
But it's a work in progress.
Yeah.
It really is.
I'm sure it is. It's not like
Yeah.
you're like it's supposed to be though, right? Because everything is different. Everybody's different, but
I always think about that too. Like for therapists, I'm like today, how you're like you just had appointments back to back sessions or whatever, you know. So then I'm like, dang, like how do you? Because I'm pretty sure it could get pretty heavy, you know what I mean? Like that whole day. So I was like, damn, I wonder how therapists like decompress and kind of like, you know, let that go. So yeah, it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, that's important. I'm also curious. I think a heavy topic. We were even talking about this before the show. Just kind of like, obviously, there's a stigma around mental health, but then talking about men's mental health was something we were just talking about, and like, how do you feel we can encourage more men to lean into healing and therapy? Because I feel like, I think it's hard for everybody, to be honest, but I do think there is something with men that like makes it a little more of a challenge than it has to be. But like from your viewpoint, how would you kind of see that?
I don't know. I kind of feel like it has to do with like the women that are in their life, and that can be mom, auntie, you know, whatever. But I think that being able to have that encouragement, and like I have heard that like men don't feel comfortable talking about their feelings, partly because other women in their life have made them feel like they can't. And I think that that's so powerful because it's like you're supposed to be able to talk about how you feel. You're supposed to be able to go to anybody really and talk about how you feel. And so I feel like that's a big part. I also think that there's not enough Black male therapists out there.
I hear that. I hear that a lot too.
You know, I'm not a man, so I don't know how y'all would feel of, you know, going to therapy and talking to a woman. Like maybe you might feel like she can't relate, you know, or whatever the case may be. But I feel like that's a huge part too. Like we got to have more Black male therapists, more male therapists in general. Like they just kind of share that load, you know? And if you all can see someone else in that space being vulnerable, you know, willing to talk to you about how you're feeling and those really deep things, then maybe there's a possibility. You open up. I don't know what you guys think.
No, it's funny because I remember asking Ashley that question. She was like, "This is it, having you guys and having men talk about it." Like a lot of times it is the baby steps, you know, and it really like, you know, they be like, oh, it's a man's world, but it's like, but when it comes to this, it's like, it's not really. Like you got to kind of ease your way into it. But I think what you said is true. I think, you know, maybe some men aren't surrounded by those type of women that you speak of, or it's just them and like the homies, or they're just around. So it's like you're kind of like a product of like your environment or what you're around. So it's not easy, but I just think it's like you got to do it in whatever way is comfortable. You know, it's not supposed to be like a one size fits all. And ultimately, it's really just, I think, just finding safe spaces, because I think that's what it boils down to. A lot of times, it's like you just want to be in a safe space and to be able to express.
I think it's a two-way street. I think it's like the demand has to be there too. Like a lot of us need to come out and say, man, we need somebody to talk to, because then that's how a lot of problems are solved. When there's like if there's a high demand of us saying, yo, we've been through a lot of stuff, we got to figure this out, I don't know how to unpack this or whatever. And I feel like a lot of people or men will be like, oh you know, I'm gonna go help, or I'm gonna, you know, start something to where it'd be more accessible for like Black men to be therapists, or be like, oh, we need to do this for like our fellow brothers, you know what I mean? So I think it's a two-way street. It just kind of gotta like, you know, I don't know.
I'm also thinking about, now that you said that, I'm kind of thinking about like therapy, but in different forms. You know, like if it's a peer group. You know?
Exactly.
Or it's just, I don't know, men that come together and talk about how they're feeling. Like that might feel more comfortable than like sitting and talking to a therapist. You know, until you kind of figure out what's really going on. That's interesting.
And it's just timing too. You know what I mean? I think it's like it needs to be increased, like just the normalization of men taking mental health seriously and just being more expressive and open about how they feel when they feel safe to do so. Because at the end of the day, like you got to keep it real. Like, you know, there's a reason why a lot of them don't, or a lot of us don't. It's because, you know, a lot of times they don't feel like they're going to be understood or whatever the case is. So, but I do think, yeah, I just think it's just like day by day, just trying to contribute to it. You know, I did have another thought, but I lost my train of thought. I was like thinking about like 3 things at once, but no. But yeah, now I am curious about, you kind of touched on it, like, and you touched on it too, how, you know, therapists do have their own therapists and they do need to take time for themselves. But for you, what does that look like for you? Like, what is the balance? You talked about being super mom, but like, how do you make sure that you're intact to show up? Because it's about, I mean, we still got to show up every day and do our job, be professional, but it's how you show up, and you know, how do you make sure you show up?
Man, I feel like I'm redefining that right now in my life.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, still trying to figure that out. I feel like I usually get into like a groove, and then you got to remind yourself to get, you know, back into that.
Yeah.
But I will say something that is really essential is taking time off and not feeling bad about it. Resting and not feeling bad about it.
That's hard.
It is very hard.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm somebody who, like I said, I ran track since I was 5. I was in like 5 other sports activities. Like, I never had downtime.
Yeah.
I was literally on the go. Academics were stressed heavily in my house. Like, all of that. So it's so hard now as an adult to remember to take time to rest. You know, rest is productive. But it's crazy how much of a mental reset you can get just by taking like 1 day off.
That's so true.
Like, one day off can really change.
That's
like,
so true.
You know? So when I feel myself getting to that point, you know, with my clients where I'm like, oh, I'm just not there. Like, I'm just not there. You know, I'm like, I need to take some time off.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes it looks like a day. Sometimes it looks like a vacation. You know, but I think I'm good at recognizing that in myself, like knowing when I need to, you know, take that break, doing that.
That's good.
Yeah.
I think that's important because a lot of people don't recognize it, and sometimes they'll be like, man, I'm not doing enough. I need to go harder, you know? So they never take that break. So I think that's important to like actually recognize it.
Yeah. Man, that's crazy. It just means like you got to get out of your own way sometimes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what I think. That's what I get from that. And yeah, that's real. My train of thought came back. So you talked about different forms of therapy, and I do think that's what I was trying to get at, was like, it doesn't have to be one way. A lot of times it's music, right? It can be like watching a certain show. Like, I just think that should be encouraged as well, so people don't feel like I have to do it this way that everybody says I have to do it. I do think we should be discussing how we got to be more innovative with mental health, right? Don't you think?
For sure.
As time moves, the world changes. I think innovation is important.
Yeah. I think one of the things that's not used enough is group therapy. I know a lot of therapists, including myself, that do it, but it's just not something that, you know, people engage in a lot. I feel like there's so much power in group therapy. Yeah. Like, having someone else in a room with you that is experiencing very similar things, like, that's big.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. And sometimes you get more out of just talking to other people that are going through the same thing than you would with talking to a therapist.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's real.
Definitely have to be creative.
I love that.
So, like with therapy, a lot of us, I guess, I wouldn't say wait, but we go to therapy like when we're older, you know what I mean? And then we kind of like go back and figure out why we do things a certain way, or why are we the way we are, or whatever. But so I guess my question is there like an age limit on therapy, or is it like it's never too early to start, right?
It's never too early to start.
Yeah.
It's never too late.
Yeah.
There's not an age limit.
Yeah.
Or the earlier the better, for sure, because you can start getting that, you know, those tools under your belt early. You can start learning how you are early and be able to grow into that, you know, into your adulthood. So I'm a high advocate for early intervention, for sure. But there's not an age limit.
Yeah.
Because there's things all the way from like play therapy with like really young kids. That's super powerful.
Yeah.
You can do. Yeah. So, no age limit.
Yeah, I bring that up because I seen that on your site too, and I was like, I was like, damn, I never thought of that, you know. So
yeah, I also feel like it's like people are like, man, I haven't lived enough. I still got more living to do. And it's like, then you know what I'm saying? Like, it's weird. Like, you're like, no, I gotta live first, then I'm see what happens, you know. So, but that's true. I do think the earlier the better. But again, I do think we're in a way better space now. Like kids now know like, okay, this is normal, this is important, and I think that's all you really want is like making the next generation better, and what we do now is how we do that. Yeah, I'm also curious, just kind of like if you can kind of give some advice and tips, like what it means to be in that role, because I do think like sometimes like it's not a job, like it's really a role. It's kind of like an honor to be someone who's in a space and contributing to like something that's really needed. A lot of times people are so fixated on like their job is their identity and all that. It's like, nah, like this is really me, and this is me in this space being me. Like, so like what is some advice that you would have for people who want to come in, but also understanding like there's a greater purpose behind it?
Like for clients?
Yeah, or no, for therapists. I think aspiring therapists, yeah.
Man, I feel like just being true to who you are. Like there's somebody out there that is going to feel like, you're going to be a trustworthy therapist for them. And you're not going to be everybody's cup of tea, and that's okay. Just being true to who you are, just the values that you have in your life, like setting that, bringing that into your therapy world too. That's really it.
Yeah.
That's really it.
Be you.
Be you.
Be you. Yeah, nobody's perfect either.
Nobody's perfect.
Yeah, there we go.
For real.
So, man, this has been great. This has been definitely really uplifting. I am curious, though. We always ask guests this question. I'm just curious. Like, what is kind of like your future outlook? Like, I'm a big manifester on. I be saying stuff you know what I'm saying? But like for you, like, are there things like it could even be near or long term? Are there things that you're excited about for the future?
For sure. Excited about, nervous about.
Yeah, for sure.
But wise words is on the come up. It's on the come up. We could be looking for some expansion for sure. Yeah, I'm gonna put that there.
Okay.
But I'm definitely excited.
Yeah.
I'm continuing to do like pop-up events where just advocating for mental health. Signing people up for therapy, like just right there in person.
That's dope.
And I also am selling some journals too. So I'll have that at the next pop-up event in Tacoma.
Okay, where's that? Give people.
It's the Black Night Market.
Okay.
September 29th. Yeah. So excited for that.
Pull up on her. Pull up on her.
Yeah.
For real. Now we're excited for you. I think. Yeah, I like how you just said things are coming. Just know. Yeah.
And so where can people find you? Like on social media, if they want to get in contact with you, or maybe want to reach out to you as a potential therapist.
Yep. Instagram at Wise Words. That's WHYS, not the regular Wise. Words Therapy. So Wise Words Therapy on Instagram and Facebook. And then website is www.wisewordsTherapy.com. And you can reach me there. Send a contact form, set up a free consultation, whatever you feel like you're ready for in that moment, or just explore the website more, explore the Instagram more. But yeah, I'm looking to connect.
Yes,
looking to make a difference. So.
Nah, you already are making a difference. So it's just gonna make it more of a difference. Wow, this has been amazing. So we always ask every guest this question just to wrap things up. So if you can, what is one word to describe what keeps you on the up and up, and why?
That's a good question. I would say genuine. Is genuinity a word? I don't know.
Yeah.
I would say genuine. But before I get into why I'm saying that, I want you guys to tell me when you hear the word genuine, what do you think of?
Like sincere.
Okay.
Yeah.
Honest.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I ask that because I feel like a lot of people, when they hear that word, they think of like being nice, and I feel like me being a genuine person comes up in my personal life, and in my professional world. I am a very genuine person, and that means that I'm going to hold you accountable for yourself. I'm going to hold you accountable for the way you live. I'm going to hold myself accountable for those things. And I bring that into my therapy world too with my clients. I always tell my clients, I only see you for an hour you know, once a week, sometimes every other week.
Mm,
You have so much world outside of me.
mm-hmm.
You know, hold yourself accountable. And it doesn't always come off as me being nice.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's hard
Yeah.
to hear the advice that I give or the things I have to say. But I feel like that keeps me going. That keeps me thriving. And that makes me a better therapist. And I'm able to provide that, you know, for my clients too. And I think coming from that place of, you know, being genuine keeps my heart in it. And that's what's really going to help me continue to, you know, make a difference. And remember why I started in the first place.
I love that.
Yeah.
You broke that down. You broke it down amazingly. Yeah. Genuine.
Yeah, definitely.
That's I do think that's the first time we got genuine as the one word too.
That's the first time.
It's crazy. We've had 100. And we off the top of the head, we just know. I'm like, we haven't got that word. Yeah, that's a great one. Well, Nhautrey, man, just want to thank you for being here first and foremost.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, just sharing your wisdom, your journey, your energy with us and the audience. I'm pretty sure if you have not been schooled or gamed through this episode, run it back, watch it again. Yeah, you might have missed some stuff. Sure. But yeah, we just want to salute you for the work you're doing and super excited for what's to come. I know there's a lot on the horizon. We wish you much success moving forward. And you know you always got support with us here at the UpNUp. And with that being said, I think it's safe to say Nhautrey Brown and Wise Words Therapy is officially members of the UpNUp. Can we get a round of applause? Thank you. Thank you.
To continue supporting the podcast and the entire UpNUp movement, be sure to rate, review, like, and subscribe.
As well as follow us at _ the UpNUp on all social media platforms to stay connected with everything the UpNUp has coming your way.
Thanks for listening, and until the next one,
keep it on the UpNUp.